Diseases common in the age of 70s and 80s is now suddenly becoming rampant at the age of 30 and 40. 4 out of 7 women have PCOS, PCOD, infertility, gynecological disorders lining up for egg freezing, IVF, infertility treatments, surrogacy. What is going on? One of the biggest issues that a lot of people are facing in the corporate world is irritable bowel syndrome, where they have to rush to the bathroom multiple times in a day, to the point that I've had clients who've quit their career and was leading to embarrassing situations and slipping into clinical depression as a result of that, right?
How is our food that we feed ourselves on a daily basis? Is there a point where that becomes kind of inflammatory or toxic and impairs our digestion?
Food also has different frequencies. Anything that has a negative frequency causes inflammation in the body.
Today, we are braving our poop. We are talking all about your gut health, your microbiome, and I have the perfect person. Her name is Dimple Jangda.
You need to pay attention to is elimination of waste, because the colon is responsible for 90% of our diseases. So if you're not eliminating waste 100% every single morning, then you need to pay attention to the signs.
How do we know if we fully absorb the nutrients in our food? Is there a possibility that we're doing this all wrong? Hey loves, do me a quick favor and hit the subscribe or follow button wherever you are tuning into this. It helps grow the show more than you know. Thank you so much again and enjoy. How does one start at Wall Street and then go back to her roots now as an author and someone that is probably one of the pioneers of wellness and Ayurveda in India?
Thank you for that question. It's been quite a journey. And in fact, that was a turning point. When I was at the peak of my career, I was on Wall Street advising on cross-border mergers and acquisitions, right? And that was my dream job. And I was advising on toll roads and hydropower projects and solar power projects. So this was like hardcore infrastructure, testosterone-driven, male-dominated industry, where sometimes, quite often, I would say, I was the only woman in the conference room, in the conversation, right? Cutting deals like worth $550 million worth of transactions at that point in time. And it was quite an adrenaline rush for me at that point in time. It's quite an ego boost, obviously. You know, when you're in a position of power, influence, money and stuff, and you're dealing with the government. But I just didn't feel content, happy, or satiated. Like, something was missing. It's an entire jigsaw puzzle, and the main masterpiece or the protagonist in the story is amiss, is out of place. And that was me out of place in my own story, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to pack up my bags, leave everything in New York City and figure out what I want in life, come back to India, spend some time exploring my roots, which meant going back to Tamil Nadu, where I grew up, to Karnataka, where I was born, to Rajasthan, where my ancestors are from. So I spent a lot of time in the countryside exploring and healing in the process. And I didn't know I could be healthier. I thought I already was healthy.
Well, and the thing is because a lot of our audience, they do come from very well-to-do, high, like stressful jobs. You were an investment banker, that too on Wall Street. So in a lot of our family's eyes, you were crushing it. You were living your best life in New York, in Manhattan. And then you kind of, it almost sounds like there was burnout.
Oh, yes. And in a way, like I didn't know I was having one. So that's the problem, right? We don't know we're having the symptoms. We don't know when to identify it, and we don't know when to draw a line or stop. Now, this is also a kind of abuse. It's called self-abuse, where you think you can sacrifice your sleep, skip your meals, run around the clock, and make a lot of money to prove a point in the society. But you're burning the candle on both ends. Okay, you're losing your lifespan. The time that is gone can never be brought back. You're losing your lifespan, and you're also losing your health. So that means the progression at which the disease is accelerating in your body is huge. So what diseases were common in the age of 70s and 80s is now suddenly becoming rampant at the age of 30 and 40.
No, like what?
Cardiac health issues. You find a lot of 30-year-old, 40-year-old dropping dead. Suddenly, post-COVID, this seems to have accelerated. 1 out of 2 people are pre-diabetic in India. What does that say? 4 out of 7 women have PCOS, PCOD, infertility, gynecological disorders lining up for egg freezing, IVF, infertility treatments, surrogacy. What is going on? Why are the rich disabled, right? And why are we creating diseases for ourselves? So these are self-manifested diseases, as I call it. You have created them. You are the author of your own health and disease. Nobody else was responsible for you getting sick. It was not the pandemic. It was not the environmental pollution and the toxins. That contributes to only 10% of the diseases. 90% of diseases are manifested within the body due to our lifestyle habits, due to our nutritional gaps, due to poor colon health, poor digestion, poor elimination of waste, poor metabolism, and lack of wisdom. That is the beginning of all diseases, lack of wisdom. You don't know any better. And you're making the same mistake again and again and again till it starts adding up, triggering a major disease, which then requires medical attention.
Wow, you're just hitting the nail on the head, and I think that today we really want to brave some of the things and some of the reasons why we think we need to check all of these boxes of the traditional conventional ways of success. And your story is so similar to so many people that come and listen to the show or watch this, if you guys are watching this on YouTube. And it's this idea for kind of striving for society, for obligations, expectations, but then we don't recognize it until we hit some sort of a breaking point. For me, it was climbing to the top of my career as a dentist, cosmetic dentist, kind of left and retired. And you actually went back to your roots. And so take us back to that journey of really starting to unravel the, what I like to call detaching yourself from the traditional matrix that we are all in, our little hamster wheel. And so then how did that inform or change your perspective on life and how we're actually doing life? Because I know now you teach this to so many people.
Oh my God, I never would have imagined in the wildest of my dreams that I would become an Ayurvedic health coach or a gut health coach. Those words did not exist in my vocabulary. Let me tell you that. Like, health coach was not an ambitious career for me to work hard for, right? Being an investment banker was everything for me at that point in time. Before being an investment banker, I was a TV producer, I was a TV reporter, I was a copywriter in an ad agency. I did the entire circus. That was version 2, the ambitious alpha female that was high on testosterone at the point of self-damage, right? Now, this is version 3 that I call. Now, version 3 of Dimple is actually an answer to everything that went wrong in version 1. Right from the time I was born till the age of 24, I had a lot of challenges. I underwent 4 surgeries before I turned 18. I had a cancer scare when I was 16. I had...
At 16?
Yes, and I didn't tell my mother that I had a tumor in my body and I could feel it growing, and I was too scared to tell her because I already had a friend who had adenocarcinoma, cancer of the lungs, when we were 16. So I thought, even I have cancer and I'm going to die, so why bother the parents, right? And because I already had a sick childhood, like I had epilepsy when I was born. I had it up to the age of 11. Then I had migraines up to the age of 18. I had a deviated septum surgery, a tonsillitis surgery, and then the cancer scare, then 2 surgeries for fibrocystic benign tumors. Luckily, they were benign, but I had to go through painful mammogram, the traditional old world mammogram, where you're exposed to so much radiation and horrible amount of pain. I wouldn't wish this for any woman or man even. For a 16-year-old to be given, needle biopsies while you're still awake, needles get poked into your body, and, they're pulling out the fluids from your tumor to see if it's cancerous. Then being rushed into the operation theater within 2 weeks because of the radiation. The tumor grew from the size of, say, about 3 inches to 6 to 7 inches. Like it was the size of my fist suddenly.
Wow.
Right? And I had to be rushed into surgery. I lost a lot of blood. I couldn't walk for a week. It was starting life from scratch. So that was version 1 when I was very, very sick. And that catapulted into a negative domino effect in other aspects of my personal life. I ended up in an abusive marriage. I had to be rescued out of it. I had near-to-death experience in that. I forgot all about it and spent all my energy, time, money, and my last penny in reinventing myself and building my career, thinking that that was my way of responding to the society, that this is the new me, right? But I didn't realize that I was trying to prove something to the society at the cost of my health. So version 3 realized I was born for a reason. I went through the suffering for a reason. And my job is now to decode it, understand why I suffered, what was the root cause of my disease, could I have prevented it, could my parents have prevented the surgeries, Was the surgery necessary at all? And when I started decoding yoga, Ayurveda, naturopathy, all of it came to my rescue. And I spent 2 years. I took a sabbatical from our career. It was indefinite. We didn't know when we were going back. When I say we, it's me and my spirit and my ambitions. I didn't know when we were going back into my career. So I said, okay, we're going to take this indefinite sabbatical and figure out what makes us happy.
I want to pause you there because, wow, that's so much life to have been exposed to at such a young age, but it's almost like your life's path, your dharma has always been to come back full circle because of everything you were really exposed to in order to help other people. So I just want to point out what a beautiful moment to have that recognition that now you are able to decode this for other people. And was it common for people in your area to have exposure to like tumors at that age? And what have you learned now about kind of the way that you grew up to have kind of led you on this path?
So it is definitely not common, but now it has become very common. 4 out of 7 women do have fibroids, either in their breasts or in the uterus, or they have polycystic ovarian syndrome, or they have a polycystic ovarian disorder. They're getting mastectomies, they're getting oophorectomies, hysterectomies. I'm meeting a lot of women now.
And for those who are just watching this and they're kind of like, okay, what are fibroids? What's PCOS? I keep hearing about it. Why is it so common these days? And why is this infertility on the rise?
So fibroids is basically your body collecting the waste that is toxic, the free radicals. Instead of it floating around freely inside your body, the body decides to collect it in one place to keep you out of harm's way. So fibroids is basically the body's defense mechanism. It's not the disease, it's a symptom of something going wrong inside the body. And instead of addressing the root cause of the problem, many doctors would rush into the process of removing the fibroid. And they did that in my case, and they removed about 4 or 5 fibroids in the first surgery. But within a month, they detected another fibroid. I went back into surgery a year later. And again, the fibroids came back. And I said, I'm not coming back to the hospital for 5th surgery, which would be 3rd surgery for fibroids. I said, I want to figure out what was triggering it, right? So it was common and uncommon because women didn't speak about it, at least at my age then. We were not educated on the kind of diseases our body was capable of manifesting when we didn't take care of it. And we were not educated on nutrition and the root cause of diseases in schools and colleges. And we still are not educated about it, right? We're taught how to make money, how to be competitive, how to be jealous and envious of each other, how to pitch ourselves against our own classmates and friends. But we're not taught how to build our health. We're taught how to build an empire and fortune and a career. And you had it and I had it too. We all had the societal career, which was prescribed by the society, which was prescribed by the industry, which was prescribed by the school educational system. And both of us realized at one point in time that this is not who I am. There was a bigger calling. So when I discovered yoga and Ayurveda, I decided to put all my money and start an Ayurvedic clinic. And it was a CSR. It was basically a way of giving back to the society and feeling better about myself. In the process, I started healing and researching for my patients. These were not my patients. These are clients who came to the clinic. And I was basically just a businesswoman running a CSR clinic. My doctors were running the show. My therapists were there, but they were not able to answer a lot of questions. There was a huge gap between Ayurveda and modern lifestyle, between traditional sciences and research-based, evidence-based sciences. Okay, there was also a communication gap, a language gap, a research gap, a time gap, a lifestyle gap. So I started bridging that gap by doing a lot of research, using research reports from Harvard, Stanford, Atlanta, Georgia, Maryland University, and I found a common connect between both. Now, Harvard, Stanford were saying that 90% of the diseases were caused due to an unhealthy colon. And Ayurveda was saying that impaired digestive system, a weak Agni, is the root cause of all diseases. And the colon is the first thing that we must cleanse out in the process of healing. So I said, okay, modern science has identified the problem. Traditional science has already given the solution, which is time tested. We just have to link the two. So in the process, I found out why I had fibroids, why I had a deviated septum surgery, why I had a tonsillitis surgery. And all 4 could have been avoided.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Now, tonsillitis surgery. Most children have an inflamed tonsil. What is a tonsil? The tonsil is a defense mechanism. It's the guard. It's the watchman. Now, the watchman shouting, it's because someone has entered the building who shouldn't enter the building. So are you going to shoot the watchman or are you going to catch the culprit? Now, what we're doing is we're shooting the watchman. So you're removing the tonsil, which is getting inflamed every now and then, thinking you're saving the child. But the tonsil is basically a defense mechanism that prevents unhealthy bacteria and fungus, toxins from entering the body. It holds them right here. Now, what are the toxins that the children are feeding on? Sugar, ice creams, chocolates, cakes, pastries. That is one of the main triggers for inflammation of the tonsil. So all my parents had to do was get me off sugar. And the inflammation of the tonsils would have stopped and I wouldn't have needed to get it removed. Now my immune system is weakened because this is part of my immune system and we've removed it.
Was there also a connection to the emotions? Because I know that in your book, you talk about gut health, mind, and emotions.
Absolutely. Everything begins with emotions, okay? Everything begins with energy, in fact. If your energy is damaged, it will manifest in the form of diseases. Now, which part of your energy is damaged? It could be childhood trauma. It could be conflict between your parents. It could be some kind of trauma or abuse you're facing in schools, some kind of physical, sexual, mental, emotional, verbal abuse that you're not able to emote, you're not able to converse, you're not able to communicate to your parents. You're probably not feeling safe. You're feeling insecure, unworthy, unloved, right? You have fear. All of this manifests in the form of diseases. Now, I don't know which fear manifests in the form of inflamed tonsils, but reaching out for sugar is a child's defense mechanism when they're lacking something else.
And it's also the throat chakra, and the throat chakra is for expression, right? As we know in yoga. But yeah, it's so fascinating. It's so okay.
It's also triggered because of the throat chakra getting blocked.
Yeah. And so obviously that surgery could have been avoided, even if the kids are having maybe open communication with their parents to be able to be fully expressed, right? I feel like when we grow up with our parents, they're like, no, don't do this, don't do this, don't do that. They're like, you're penalized for everything. And so you're not able to fully express, which, I'm even thinking back because I had a lot of tonsil issues, not in my childhood, but in my 20s. And it was also correlated to an abusive marriage that I wasn't fully, and then I had the tonsils out and then I was...
Our stories
it is. I know there's some similarities there. Wild. That'll be for another day. But so now you because there was something that was also just recently posted on your Instagram around the amount of toxins in chocolate that people get. There's lead in some of the chocolate, and so what are we doing wrong as parents?
We're too busy. I mean, I'm not a parent, but I can tell the mistakes that my siblings and my cousins are making, and I watch them raise their children, very much involved in how they're raising their kids. And I'm constantly giving them health advice that they didn't ask for, but they have to deal with that now. Parents are so busy getting overwhelmed with the job of being a parent that they don't listen to the child, okay? The number one thing I've told my sister-in-law, if my niece doesn't want to eat, if she throws a tantrum, if she shouts, if she screams, please stop feeding her because that food is going to turn into poison for her because she doesn't want it. Let the child feel hunger and ask you for food. Stop force feeding your children. Stop saying things to children that begins with a negative word. Don't do this, don't do this. Instead of saying don't do this, don't do that, why don't you replace it with an affirmative positive sentence that says, can we do this instead of that? Now, if my niece was screaming and shouting, I know she's in pain and discomfort and she needs to express herself. So I speak to her in the same words that she spoke and I say, I didn't understand a word of what you said. Can you please use your words to tell me what you want? Allow the child to express and communicate. And a hug is way better than a donut or a pastry or giving your child a mobile phone just to keep them busy and hooking them onto YouTube. And then you blame the child. I don't know why my child is hooked onto YouTube. Well, you're the one who's hooked onto your phone all the time in front of the child. And the child believes the phone is more important than the child's presence. Stop using your mobile phones and gadgets and laptops and telephones in front of your children.
Yeah.
Stop using harsh words in front of them, even when communicating with each other, with adults.
It's so crazy. We've noticed such a big difference. We have two kids, they're toddler ages, but it's interesting now because when my daughter, who was 3, and because we do everything on our phone, everything is on our phone, but I had to now dissociate that, okay, mama is doing her work on her laptop. And therefore, when I'm around them, when they're after school, we have to put our phones away because of this. And it's like, you're absolutely right. They will see us no matter if we are working on our phone because we can send that email, we can send that text, we can reply back to a DM or whatever. But then they're thinking that we're completely ignoring them. And so now it's funny. Yesterday, she's like, Mama, can you play that song on your work? So she calls the laptop work because now everything is work. So laptop equals work, because I didn't want her to have that association with the phone, because it was definitely getting to that point. And then they are using their toys to pretend that they're on their phone. So now she takes her toys and says, Mama, I'm working.
So, that's so cute.
Laptop. But you're absolutely right about that. What else are we doing wrong?
Oh God, we're constantly snubbing their emotions. So, I was talking to a parenting coach, and there are not too many parenting coaches in India because parents are demigods. Parents are gods on earth and they can do no wrong, and you must never question them, right? Now, the trouble with most parents is they're projecting the childhood trauma and the unhealed self onto the child, and we're constantly snubbing the child's emotions. So it's okay, daddy's upset, but that's how dad's temper is. You have to live with it. You do not correct father because he is the breadwinner of the family, right? When you keep snubbing the child, you tell the child that the child is not worthy of love. And the child then seeks the same kind of emotional abuse in their next partner because they think this is what they're worth. This is the new normal for them. They don't know what it is to feel loved, to feel validated, to feel important. They're constantly sidelined. You're constantly snubbing their emotions. And you need to start talking to children like real adults instead of, coochie-cooing with them in baby language. Like, you need to talk to them real adults. Let them make their own decisions. Be it the clothes they want to wear, be it the food that they want on their plate. If you make only healthy food in the house and lay it on the table and allow the child to make better decisions, the child will always choose healthy because that's how our survival mechanism is. Our intuitive intelligence, our prakriti inside our body, has been tuned for survival, for health. Mm-hmm. Children naturally will lean towards certain relatives and will lean away from certain relatives. They do not like to be touched by certain people. You need to pay attention to those signs. There was never no signs until something really bad happens, right? There were signs all along, which you didn't pay attention to. So you need to pay attention to signs. You need to stop snubbing your child's emotions. You need to stop snubbing them when they're trying to make a point or talking or finishing a conversation. You need to stop emoting negative stuff in front of them. Deal with it within the four walls of your bedroom. Yeah. Don't have your adult conflicts in front of the child.
Wow. And I love that you said this idea of the toxins. The food then becomes toxic to the child. And I'm curious if that food that has been yelled at, forced fed to the child becomes toxic. How is, in general, our food that we feed ourselves on a daily basis? How does that, is there a point where that becomes kind of inflammatory or toxic for us and impairs our Agni or our digestion, even as adults?
Absolutely. Now imagine if you were angry, you do not sit down and eat food as per Ayurveda. Okay. If you're angry, if you're irritable, if you're feeling overwhelmed, you first drink a glass of water, temper your emotions down, sit down, ground yourself before you attempt to eat a meal. If you're angry, your pitta or your fire energy goes up in the body. Now, when you eat food, when your pitta is aggravated, it releases more bile, stomach acids, and the food becomes acidic in nature, leading to burning sensation, acidity, reflux. And in the advanced stage, pitta can lead to discoloration of the eyes, skin issues, hair thinning, hair loss, stomach issues, small intestine issues, and burning sensation in the esophagus. So you don't want that, right? If you're feeling sluggish, underwhelmed, if you don't want to be doing any activities, you're just feeling like a couch potato, you don't eat food again. When you're a couch potato, you're simply eating food because of the activity, not because your body needs the nutrition. So what's that going to do? It's going to create more kapha imbalance. It's going to lead to obesity. It's going to lead to sugar spikes unnecessarily. It's going to lead to pre-diabetic symptoms. Okay. And pre-diabetes then can lead to PCOS, PCOD, wow, gut health issues, gynecological issues. So everything is linked to your digestive health. Your Agni is literally the center of everything. What do we do in Ayurveda? We sit down, We pray to the meal 3 times or once in whatever language you want, to whatever gods you believe in or don't believe in. At least express gratitude to the farmers, they exist, to Mother Nature that exists, to the hands that cook the meal, and the people that brought the food to your table, right? You need to express gratitude. And when you express gratitude, you're vibrating at 540 mHz, which is the highest frequency the human body can experience. Love and gratitude are the only two emotions that vibrate at that frequency, the highest possible, capable of changing the human mind. When you vibrate at that frequency, the food becomes more nourishing. Now, food also has different frequencies. There's sattvic food, there's rajasic foods, there's tamasic foods. Meat, seafood, eggs, dairy have a negative frequency.
Oh, dairy too.
Dairy too. That's why they're inflammatory in nature. So anything that has a negative frequency causes inflammation in the body. What is inflammation? Your autoimmune system starts attacking its own cells because it doesn't know the difference between good and bad now, right? Inflammation is basically your body's response to something that is unfit or unhealthy for you. So your body has gone into a war-like situation where your autoimmune system is attacking its own cells because you're having a leaky gut syndrome, maybe something is leaking into the bloodstream, which is not nourishing, which is not nutrition. Now the body is destroying everything in its path, the nutrition and the undigested food that has leaked into the bloodstream. That is inflammation. That is a leaky gut syndrome. That is an impaired digestive health as a result of you eating when you are having wrong or hot emotions.
Now, what if you are healing from, like, let's just say a breakup or a heartbreak, or and you get the chocolate and the ice cream when you're feeling sad, depressed, lonely? Does that have an impact on your Agni?
It does.
Is that the Kapha energy?
No, it does. It does have an impact. But we have to respect our emotions and allow ourselves to feel the emotion, right? You can't snub your own emotions. So if you've had a heartbreak, you need to cry your eyes out. You need to cry your heart out and let the toxins out. Some emotions are so strong, they come out in the form of tears. Okay, we can't express them in words. Now, we do this too. During periods, we just want to sit and eat a bag of salty chips, probably the healthy version, the organic vegan version. We need to eat some cookies. We need to eat some vegan chocolate, vegan ice creams. Why not? There's no harm in indulging. So if you've had a breakup, you're going to get a tub of ice cream. You're going to cry your eyes out. You're going to talk to your girlfriends about it. You're going to eat all of that ice cream. You're going to feel fat and ugly the next morning. Then snap out of it. Allow your body to feel that negative emotion. And this is what the boy has done to you, the impact. Now, the boy is not bad, but that's the impact that relationship has had on you, that it has brought the ugliest, chubbiest, fattest version of you the next morning. So it should make you feel like, oh my God, this is not what I want for myself and my body. And you snap out of it. Go get a new haircut if you have to. Go get your bangs. I know that's like the breakup hairstyle that everybody gets. Okay. Get to the gym, wear some pretty clothes, and snap back into the healthiest version of you.
So you're saying,
you don't love yourself,
yeah,
nobody else can love you better.
So it's almost like allowing yourself to fully feel and emote and allow that part of you to fully express, and then start taking action on this next version of yourself.
Absolutely. So, when you go through loss, you have to go through the process, which is denial, then there is crying, then there is depression and no hope, and then comes the rebound, the healing, right? But you have to go through that. You cannot postpone any part of it or avoid any part of it. So a lot of people have been very strong during the process of losing a loved one and they've not cried at all. But that emotion then plays out in the form of a disease later. It's called suppression of emotion or urges. Suppression of tears, suppression of a yawn, suppression of burps, suppression of gases and flatulence, suppression of peeing, the need to urinate, suppression of the need to evacuate waste, right? All of this can also cause diseases. It is a separate chapter in Ayurveda. You do not suppress urges.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. And also, in intimacy, if the man is not ejaculating, that can also lead to other diseases like hernia because of the pressure. The vata, instead of coming out, is being pushed upwards. So suppression of urges can lead to diseases, be it emotional or physical urges. You need to cater to it.
Wow. And it's so fascinating when you're tying it back to really paying attention to kind of, the subtleties. And I want get into, so how do we begin to heal our gut, and what are some of the symptoms that we are suffering from inflammation or a leaky gut?
The number one thing that you need to pay attention to is elimination of waste. Because the colon is responsible for 90% of our diseases, right from common cold to clinical depression, constipation to cancer. Right? Your gynecological disorders, gastrointestinal, bronchial, neurological, psychosomatic, skin health, bone health, all of this is connected to your colon. So if you're not eliminating waste 100% every single morning, then you need to pay attention to the signs. Even incomplete evacuation of waste is a problem. Now, one of the biggest issues that a lot of people are facing in the corporate world is IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, where they have to rush to the bathroom multiple times in a day, to the point that I've had clients who've quit their career, their job, to sit at home because they couldn't control their IBS and was leading to embarrassing situations and slipping into clinical depression as a result of that. Right? So we've been able to get a lot of patients out of that clinical depression and IBS. So the first sign you need to pay to is number one, elimination of waste. Are you suffering from any symptoms of constipation, diarrhea, irritable bowel syndrome? Right? This is number one. Then you move further up, your gut health. Are you digesting your food well? If you're experiencing symptoms like bloating, gases, flatulence, indigestion, acidity, reflux, burning sensation, then something is not right. You're eating food that is aggravating your imbalances. Are you absorbing and assimilating nutrients? A lot of people are simply eating a lot of food and still being deficient in nutrients.
Yeah, this is interesting because how do we know if we are able to fully absorb the nutrients in our food? And is there a possibility that we're doing this all wrong?
So that's something we're not able to measure, right? But the two things that impacts your ability to absorb and assimilate nutrients is number one, elimination of waste. So if you're not eliminating waste, then the fresh food is getting mixed with the old toxic waste, and then they're rotting, putrefying, and releasing gases inside the body. Then you're obviously not absorbing nutrients because now it has become toxic because it has got mixed with the waste inside your body. Now, many human beings have almost 10 to 15 pounds of backed up waste inside the body.
Oh, wow.
And that is so unhealthy. I literally ask the clients, would you be comfortable walking around with your poop sample in your purse all day before delivering it to the lab? Would you keep it in your purse all day? The first thing you want to do is get rid of it. You're walking around with 10 to 15 pounds of waste inside your body, and you're not feeling gross about it because you can't see it.
So what is, when a patient comes to your clinic and gives you these symptoms, do you put them on a cleanse right away? Do they go through Panchakarma? Can you take us through what Panchakarma is? And maybe people are watching this and they're taking notes and they're like, oh my gosh, that's totally me. Should I sign up for a colonic? In Ayurveda, do we believe in colonics? I don't know. It's a big thing for the West, but talk to us about this.
In fact, colonics was invented by Ayurveda. Let me tell you this. Ayurveda is 5,000 years old, and the first sign or the first tool that they use to heal the body is to detoxify the body through basti treatments, which is enemas. Enemas was invented 5,000 years ago by Ayurveda. Introduction of herbal medicated oils and herbal medicated waters through the colon, through the anus, into the colon, large intestine, and small intestine, and flushing the waste out clean. So imagine we've been doing this for 5,000 years. Wow. Colonics is a Western version of it where they use clean water, distilled water, to clean the colon out and the large small intestine. But the problem with colonics with just plain water is that you're flushing the good and the bad bacteria out. And that's like a rainforest that you've just wiped out clean simply because there were 3 to 4 pests in it. You cleaned out the entire rainforest and all the trees. Your gut flora is like a rainforest. 85% good bacteria, 15% bad bacteria is an acceptable ratio. You don't clean out the good bacteria in your attempt to clean out the bad bacteria. In Ayurveda, we do a series of enemas, which is 1, a lubricant enema, 2, a detox enema. A lubricant enema is say done on day 1, 2, 4, 6, and 8, literally alternate days. So you start with lubricating your colon with a medicated oil. There are about 1,700 formulations for it.
Are you drinking it, or are you're inserting it through the rectum?
Yeah. Okay. For those who can't afford to go to a Panchakarma center because of logistic issues or distance and money and stuff like that, you can still do a cleanse orally through virachanam, which is oral medication, which is taking medicated ghee for purging the body of toxins.
Okay, I just did this. Oh my gosh, it was a very interesting experience. It's very so let's double click on that. What is virachana?
Okay, so there are 5 ways of doing Panchakarma. Now, before we do a Panchakarma treatment, there's something called preparing the body for detoxification through Abhyangam, which is full body massage with medicated oils. It's also called Sneha Basti, which is pooling of oil on the body with love. Second is Potli massage or poultice massage. We can do it with various herbal powders or herbal leaves cooked in medicated oils. You put it in a poultice bag and massage the body. This helps in sweating out of the toxins. You can also do Shvedana in a steam box to sweat out the toxins. So this prepares the body for detoxification process.
Okay,
Abhyanga
so
helps in stimulating blood circulation and collecting toxins. And then begins Panchakarma, which has Virachanam, Basti, and the other protocols.
And so in the beginning, when you have Abhyanga, can you pick any oil? Because Abhyanga is just a self body massage, correct?
Yeah. So you can pick any cold press oil that's available in your kitchen. You don't want to use a refined oil because your skin is one of the largest breathing organs of your body, larger than your lungs, in fact. We have 3.6 kilograms of skin and it absorbs everything that you apply on it. You can use coconut oil, almond oil, castor oil, sesame oil, avocado oil. For beginners, I just say take all the cold press oils in your kitchen, mix it, make a concoction and use it. In Ayurveda, we go deeper. There are about 10,000 herbs and concoctions and permutations and combinations, right? So for different body types, we have different oils. For regular body type, you'll probably have a Dhanvantaram Tailam. Okay. Now, for someone who has a lot of body aches and pain, we could probably give a Sahacharadi Tailam. For someone who has excess heat in the body, we could give a cooling oil like a Shirabala Tailam, right? So the kind of oil that we use will change, and each oil is a concoction of 50 to 60 herbs. Now, if you don't have access to it, you just use any kitchen oil that is cold pressed, mix it and apply it all over your body.
Okay, so so it's got to be cold pressed, and it has to be, obviously not refined. And then so castor oil, sesame oil, almond oil are some of the ones that you probably could use.
Yeah, because the refined oil is then going to have bleaching agents. It's going to have all kinds of preservatives and toxins that's going to enter your bloodstream, because what you apply on the skin enters the bloodstream immediately, versus food that gets detoxified by the liver before it enters the bloodstream. Wow. Right? So what you apply on the skin is far more important than the food on your plate.
Wow. Okay. So now that we've done the Abhyanga, we are sweating out our toxins. We're in the sweat box. We're in the infrared sauna or regular sauna. And then now we're ready for the Panchakarma, which is 5 karmas, right? Panch means 5 karmas. And it's typically the beginning of the detoxification process, correct?
Yeah. So it's the 5 ways of detoxifying your body. So you could do Abhyangam and Shvedana for like a few sessions, a few days before you jump into the Panchakarma process. So the first one is Virachanam, which is oral purgation. You can have medicated ghee, ghee cooked with herbs, 10 ml on the first day, 20 ml, 30 ml. You keep increasing the quantity up to 7 days. That allows your body to flush out all the toxins smoothly. So you end up having bouts of diarrhea, which is very healthy. As long as it's like not watery loose motions and you're not getting dehydrated, you're fine. You can simply, go on a khichdi diet or a mono diet to recoup your energy.
Yeah, this was so interesting. I was working with somebody, and she's an Ayurvedic practitioner here, and so we did this Virachanam, and so it was 5 days, and it was I didn't think drinking ghee in the morning would be hard, and it was definitely a commitment. It was and it was a beautiful experience. I think when I got to day 3, I was able to really fully surrender into it, because you drink the ghee, a little bit in the morning, like you said, but then it was followed by warm water, pretty much warm water. I think I had warm water all day, and then I ate when I was hungry. So when I was feeling the urges to eat, I could only have khichdi, and it was like watered down khichdi, basically. And then we got into, I did the whole thing, but I only did until day 5, because you're probably going to get mad at me, but because then I had a wedding, I had a wedding to go to. So,
You don't want to be purging when you're at a wedding.
no. And so it was a very interesting experience. That day 5, you drink castor oil, right?
Yeah.
And so that was intense. It was intense. But honestly, I felt like when I woke up the next day, I felt so clear-headed. I felt so clear. I felt so like just mentally attuned. Emotionally, I felt so light. My body obviously felt really light. I could see my abs. Like, I mean, it physically, it looked really great. From the physicalities, it felt really good. So why would you suggest this practice, or how often would you suggest this if somebody doesn't have the means to go to an Ayurveda center, a Panchakarma, center? I know we have a lot of these in the States, not a lot, but a few. And then we have them all around the world. And I'm sure we can link obviously your clinic for those who are in the diaspora in India. But what's the importance of this, and how often are we supposed to do it? Because I was in the bathroom pretty much the entire day for the 5th day.
Whole purpose. That's the whole purpose, right? Now, Virachanam is something, Panchakarma itself is something that I recommend to people once a year, every year for the rest of their life, right? You do get your car serviced every few months because that's expensive. So is your body. There's no replacement for it. There's no organ replacement for all of your body. It's a science fiction movie that you can make, but it doesn't exist in real life, right? Panchakarma treatment is great. Once you've crossed the age of 30, you've accumulated a lot of toxins in your body from the junk, from the packaged foods, from the processed foods, from the environmental toxins, from the toxins in your clothes, in your perfumes, in your deodorants, in your home care products, self-care products. You want to get that out of your system before they start triggering cancer cells. Everything can trigger cancer inside our body, right? Unfortunately, which is a free radical. Now, Panchakarma can be done once every year. Virachanam is part of that. If you do not have access to that facility, a simple thing that you can do is every single morning, you start your day with 200 ml warm water with 1 teaspoon clarified butter, which is called ghee. So instead of doing Virachanam for just 7 days in a year, you consume warm water with 1 teaspoon ghee every day for the rest of your life. Now, if you're vegan, you can also replace it with plant-based butter, because ghee has butyric acid that lubricates the GI tract and can pull heavy metals out of your system. There's heavy metals in everything that we eat nowadays, right? From your chocolates to your harmless cookies and your biscuits and your cakes, right? A plant-based butter can also do the job of lubricating your GI tract and allowing smooth evacuation of waste. You can also use lemon, pinch of cinnamon, and grated ginger in 200 ml warm water. Lemon also has a cleansing effect on your body, right? Okay. So you can do that. And castor oil, by the way, there was a tradition in south of India where once in 6 months, the kids would all be given about quarter bottle of castor oil each and no food till noon. And they would end up going to the bathroom multiple times, flushing out all kinds of parasital worms that is found in children's intestines, because you're playing with mud, with dirt. They're not always sanitizing the hands. So obviously the body is home to more kinds of worms. They would flush, and then they would be just given rasam rice, which is like the South Indian tomato soup. It's a tomato broth with black pepper, cumin, fennel, garlic to cleanse the intestines out. So this was something that was done for children in their childhood in south of India.
So this is so fascinating, because I feel like in our internal moms group with all the kids, and we're kind of having them play in the mud and all of these things, there is this fear of the parasites. And I feel like for a lot of what we are told here, it's like you get these tinctures and these bottles, and I don't know if it expels anything for the kids because they have all of these different herbs. And I'm not sure how it actually translates to the Ayurvedic ones, but I didn't realize that you can actually is this what you would actually recommend for any of the moms listening? Is this something that they could do, or maybe even talk to an Ayurvedic practitioner, that they could have their kids drink ghee or do this kind of Virachana process?
Yeah. I mean, to make it even more easier and simpler for the moms, because they don't want to stress the children out. Number one, warm water with ghee Very easy. Children actually love it after a day or two because you're starting their day with good fat, right? You always start the day with good fat. Number two, castor oil. You can give it to them once in 6 months, maybe 3 to 4 teaspoons early morning, empty stomach, and let them flush out all the ways. It might give them a little bit of a diarrhea symptoms, which is good again. Then you make sure to balance the electrolytes with electrolyte water, lemon water, tender coconut water. Give them soft, well-cooked foods like yogurt rice or rasam rice. Another thing you can do is three things excellent for deworming. Papaya seeds. Take the seeds from a papaya, make sure to sun dry it and then crush it and make a powder out of it. Cucumber seeds, excellent for deworming. And three, pumpkin seeds. Parasites hate papaya seeds, pumpkin seeds, and cucumber seeds.
Wow.
You can also start your child off with these seed powders in the morning for a few days.
Okay. Wow. Why aren't you here? You should have a practice here. This is so amazing. This is so amazing. It's interesting now, especially when what you see in the Instagram world of people selling things and actually if we just go back to the root, because I think my mother-in-law, if she watches this, she's going to be like, I told you, I've been telling you to give them ghee and water every single day. And so
the roots, right?
It is going back to the roots. So what is the most common ailment now of people coming into your either online communities? I know you do online workshops, you have your clinics, you see tons of people annually. What are the maybe 3 common ailments that people are coming to you for?
The number one obviously is colon health. The number of IBS patients that are coming in with other comorbidities like clinical depression, anxiety, stress, social anxiety, colon health issues has become the number one. So it's either constipation or IBS. People are going to 2 extremes. Either they're not going to the bathroom at all, or they're literally rushing to the bathroom every 2 hours. I've had a client who was rushing to the bathroom 10 to 12 times per hour.
Wow.
And if she didn't have access to the bathroom, she'd soil her trousers, which meant she never left home for 2 years.
Oof.
She couldn't cross the street. And when we put her on the diet, we removed all the wrong combinations of foods in her diet that was triggering IBS. Within 2 weeks, she went to Dubai to surprise her kids. That changed her life. So the number one health issue we notice now is colon. Okay. And sadly, people don't speak enough about their colon health in the family. Now, when your child poops, the first 7 years, you have the right to walk into the bathroom and check the poop before the child flushes it. You want to be the one to check it. So my aunt does it even now. So say an elderly member in the family has fallen sick. She would ask them, do not flush. I will come and check. So she did this for her own father-in-law.
Wow.
She said, because he was sick with dengue. And she said, you know what? Put all of this aside, your shame and your personal space and everything. Don't flush. Let me come and check what it is. So you can at least look out for discoloration of the stools. The discoloration tells you which organ is suffering.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
So if there is black discoloration in the stools, the liver is toxic. If it is just brown, it's just generally the lungs detoxifying, okay, the carbon dioxide. If it is orange, it's usually your joint health. If there is red specks, then you have to, pay attention to any kind of internal bleeding, hemorrhoids, and other issues. If there are, shiny particles, and there are probably heavy metals in the body. Okay, if it's dark green, it's the gallbladder. If it's light green, it's a kidney. These are things you need to pay attention to. If there are worms and parasites, you need to pay attention to these signs. Number one is colon health. Number two is gut health. So many people are so uncomfortable all the time. They're constantly bloated. They're nauseated. They are having acidity. They're having reflux. GERD has become very common. Leaky gut syndrome, which is undetected in almost everybody because there's no mechanism for us to detect it, is another health issue with gut health. It leads to 50% of the diseases, I would say.
Wow.
Right from skin health, anxiety, depression, Hashimoto's, thyroid, Graves', fibromyalgia, which is unexplained pain in the body, right? And then the third category of diseases are the bigger diseases we're talking about, which is diabetes, cholesterol, hypertension. But the first signs is usually colon and gut health issues. And I'll be very happy if patients actually checked in with their doctor right from the time the digestion has got impaired. Don't wait for it to become a comorbidity.
Yeah. Wow, this has been such a fascinating conversation. Before we get into our igniting round, where can we get connected with you, Dimple? And how can we learn more about your programs? And obviously, we will link in the show notes where everybody can get your book. And where can we follow you?
All right. That's so sweet of you to, refer to this, Neeta. So we are available on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok by my name. It's called Dimple Jangda Official. Watch out for my spelling. Or you can even follow Prana by Dimple, which is my clinic, the website. And the book is called Heal Your Gut, Mind and Emotions. It's become a national bestseller in India. And we also have the Hindi version that's come out. We also have 3 other languages that is coming out. I'm hoping that it reaches more and more people in many languages and they can reverse the diseases by addressing the root causes. So that's the intention, putting the power back in the hands of the people.
Oh, I love that. And what's your vision or mission for Prana Health?
So Prana is 7 years old. Now it's like a thriving baby, which has grown and it's on its own now. The vision has always been to make Ayurveda a global phenomenon, a household practice. That's for Prana. But now I hope to go deeper into other sciences, which is the energetics and the spirituality of health. And that's what my next book is going to be about. So I hope, I can have more and more people ask me questions about it so we can answer it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so now for my spill the chai round. All right, so you can answer these questions as long as you want, as short as you want. Cold foods or hot foods?
Always hot foods. It keeps the digestive fire alive and keeps you healthy.
Okay, so even if you're pitta?
Even if you're pitta. Cold food is in fact a complete opposite for a pitta because what it could do is trigger stomach ulcers. When you put something cold in a hot environment, it's going to blister, it's going to crackle, and it's going to ruin the stomach lining.
Okay, chai or green tea?
I like the chai without the caffeine because it's a masala that has all the anti-inflammatory health benefits: cinnamon, cardamom, clove, grated ginger, pepper, star anise, lemongrass boiled in water with a natural sweetener like rock sugar. You don't need the caffeine, you don't need the chai patti, you don't need the milk for sure because milk reacts with the tannins found in tea leaves and that turns into acid. That's why people who drink a lot of chai have acidity symptoms.
Wow. Okay, this is good to know. So you just do chai without the masalas?
Absolutely.
That's amazing. What is the first thing that you do when you wake up?
I do not look at the phone. I pray. The first thing I do when I get up, I have a certain prayer ritual. You can pick anything from your scriptures, from your religious textbooks, if you don't know what to pray. Okay, that's why the religious books is helpful. Pick any shloka, any mantra, anything. First express gratitude to the fact that you're alive and you woke up. How many people don't wake up? While you're awake, there's somebody else who didn't wake up in another part of the world. So the first thing I do is express gratitude and pray to the Almighty, to whoever you believe in. And only then do I get to jotting down all the ideas that are like, running haywire in my head. I want to put that down on a piece of paper or on my phone. And then I get to detoxifying, which is a cleansing rituals.
Wow. What is the most underrated Ayurveda practice?
Abhyangam. It could fix so many imbalances: your Vata imbalance, your Pitta imbalance, your anxiety, your stress, sleep issues, digestive health, colon health, skin health. You can fix jet lag with an Abhyangam. You can reduce your exam pressures with an Abhyangam. It's probably one of the most underrated techniques. If you did an Abhyangam 3 times a week, every week, you wouldn't have to go to a doctor.
Really? With just self massage?
Because you're stimulating the blood circulation, the lymphatic system is now draining out all the toxins. You're lubricating your joints, muscles, and nerves, and you're enabling the body to detoxify itself of diseases.
Okay, one thing that you wish everyone knew about Ayurveda?
That it can help you prevent a disease rather than you waiting to get sick.
And one word that describes this season in life?
It's ever changing.
Amazing. Dimple Jangda, this was such a phenomenal conversation. I am so excited and elated for you and just the way you have been able to bring Ayurveda where everyone around the world is able to really incorporate that into their daily lives, even with just kind of the tiny little moments of magic that I feel like that you've really shared with our community today. So thank you so much for the work that you do, and I'm so excited for the next steps for you.
Well, thank you for having a platform where people can learn from you and your guests. So kudos to you.
Until next time on the Brave Table. Oh my goodness, we are on the other side. Wow. So go ahead and follow Dimple Jangda Official. That is Dimple Jangda Official. You can go ahead and connect with her on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, wherever you connect. Even she's on TikTok as well as on YouTube. You can go ahead and listen to her podcast. I'm also interviewed on her podcast. And so we will link that also in the show notes. And in order to get her book, I've also linked where you can actually follow Prana by Dimple. That's pranabydimple.com. If you wanted to be part of her patient pool, or if you are going to India anytime soon, or if you're curious about doing a Panchakarma, and if you are curious about her Instagram as well as Prana Healthcare Center, you can go to Prana Healthcare Center. That is Prana by Dimple on Instagram as well. I've linked everything in the show notes. I've also linked 3 additional episodes that if you are just going into your health journey, if you are braving your health in this season, I've linked 3 additional ones that will help you get there. If you love this episode, please go ahead, share this with people who you think will have and benefit from it and maybe need to brave their health in this stage, in this era of their life. And if you are watching this on YouTube, what are you waiting for? There's so many of you that pop here because a friend told you to come here, or you're listening to this on Spotify, or you're listening to this on iTunes or Amazon or wherever you're getting this. Please go ahead and help us out by clicking the follow button, clicking the like button, clicking the subscribe button, and let us know what you loved about this episode, what and how this has changed or informed your perspective in life. And I will see you soon.